Shalom, salam alechem, hello, salut. I'm back after, I don't know, a month or something. Well, I thought I'd make a special because, one, I haven't made a video in a while, and two, my overall views on this channel have actually gone over the 1,000 mark. That's right, actually just on one of my videos alone there's over 100 views. That's pretty good for my dismal channel. Also, it's the start of a new year. Let us hope this one's going to be better than the last one, but I don't get the feeling it will. We've still got a whole decade ahead of us. Well, I'm running out of ideas for new videos. I would appreciate any help. Comment it down below. Give this video a like. Probably best you don't subscribe, but you can do that as well. But please just comment any idea, I suppose. I might not take it up. I'm thinking maybe starting a new series of drawing or continuing one of my old ones. Just give me a tip, I suppose. Also, shout out to one of my new friends, Geniuski. If you check around my channel, he might pop up. But he's a new channel. He's actually doing gaming content. Fairly good, to be honest. Pretty good for a noob. He puts in some effort. Probably more than this channel. On that note, let's get started. Today, we're going to be talking about somebody from the Bible and the Quran. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Words internalized through religion, belief, and faith. These are the beginning words of the Bible. Now, before we start with our big story, Adam, we've got to go through the creation myth of Abrahamic beliefs. Basically, God created everything that there is in 6 days. He created the skies, He created the earth, trees, animals, bugs, stars, the sun, the moon, everything. Importantly, on the 6th day, He created mankind, man and woman. And on the 7th day, He had a rest. It's Sunday. That's how the rest on Sunday came into being. It's God's rest day, because everybody needs a rest. God also, after this, created a big gold garden called Eden. And He put all these trees and everything in there, rivers. And He also put 2 important trees in the middle. He put a tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Now, we should go on to Adam's birth. Adam's a rather special character. Unlike all the other humans, he's the first one, the first man. His birth goes something like this. God got the dust of the earth, gave it the breath of life, and thus Adam was born. I prefer to think of it as God got the dust of the earth, which may or may not have been containing methamphetamine, sniffed it all up, and sneezed out Adam. That's right, God was on crack when He made us. That must be why we're all so crazy. Humans have a special task. Unlike all the other animals, they're not supposed to crawl on the ground, or fly in the sky, or do whatever. They're supposed to rule over everything. I suppose enforce God's will. God got Adam, and He placed him in the Garden of Eden. Adam had to have a psychic, an assistant to help him out in all the ruling. So they went over the animals one by one, and it got them nowhere. None of them could help Adam the way he needed them to. So instead, God went for plan B. He put Adam into a big sleep, and while he was sleeping, He pulled out one of his ribs. You might think that's gruesome, but for the Old Testament, trust me, it ain't that gruesome. And with this rib, He created the first woman, Eve. She was to be Adam's psychic, his waifu and real lifeu. God got them married, and He gave them a rule. One rule. He says, don't eat from my special tree, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. I mentioned it earlier. It has a great name. And they ended up breaking the rule. Eve was going through the garden one day and she met the serpent, one of the smarter creatures, and the serpent managed to trick her into eating from the special tree, eating one of the forbidden fruits. And she ate it and her eyes were opened. Now she knew the difference between good and evil. And she went to her husband, "You've got to try this stuff." So he goes up and eats one, and he realizes how tasty it is, I suppose, and his eyes were opened as well. And they looked at each other, and they realized the whole time they had been naked head to toe, which was a sin. They knew that now because the special fruit can tell them. So they covered up with a bunch of leaves, and were going round the garden. And God came, and he saw that they have clothes on. And they says, "You like that we're covering up our sin now?" And he says, "Yeah, but who told you that that was a sin?" And they realized that they had made a big mistake. God says, "How can you do this?" And Adam says, "She made me do it." And she says, "The serpent made me do it." And the serpent had to deal with the worst. God punished him pretty bad. He punished Eve slightly less bad. And then Adam got the least baddest punishment. But it was still pretty nasty. He kicked them out of the garden, and now they had to make all the food themselves. And also they could die, and go back to the dust they came from. Wow, does that mean humans become crack? Let's continue with our story. Adam and Eve, now kicked out of the Garden of Eden, have nothing better to do. So, they decide to get on with it and have children. First they have Cain, then they have Abel. Cain and Abel come with an interesting side story. You see, Cain and Abel have different jobs. Cain was a farmer of the soil, while Abel had a flock of lambs. Whenever it came to sacrificing, poor old Cain only gave vegetables. Some vegetables he had lying around, I suppose. Abel, on the other hand, got one of the best lambs of his stock and sacrificed it instead. And God would often favor Abel over Cain, and Cain didn't like this and he was becoming jealous. So one day, Cain and Abel were out in the fields, and Cain attacked his brother Abel and killed him. Now God came down and he says to Cain, "Where's your brother Abel?" And Cain says, "I don't know, what am I supposed to be, his protector or something?" And God says, "You've killed him. His blood cries out from the soil, you've killed him." He's basically using special God powers to figure out what's happened. And then God says, "For this you shall be punished," because now Cain is the first murderer. He says, "You shall be punished, forever shall you wander the earth." And Cain says, "No, this punishment is too bad." He says, "What if when I'm wandering around, people are going to see that I'm a wanderer, and they're going to come up and attack me?" And he says, "Not so, for if anybody attacks you, it shall be returned sevenfold." Basically meaning, if you slap them on the head, you're going to get it back 7 times worse. Plus he can never farm again. Cain can never farm because all the blood's over the soil, so he can't use the soil. And that happens. Adam and Eve also have other children, a few others, their names don't really matter. And Adam lives to the grand old age of, wait for it, 930. Whoa, that's a long time, nearly 1,000 years. However, in the Old Testament, that's not the oldest person to live. And thus, our story of Adam comes to an end. The first man ever in the Bible, or in Abrahamic beliefs. That is the story of Adam and his wife Eve. Now you might be thinking, what's the significance of this? You might not be a worshipper of the Abrahamic beliefs, or you might not just care. No, this is pretty important. 3 of the 5 major beliefs in the world are Abrahamic beliefs. Plus there's other Abrahamic beliefs and they all think this is the creation story. It might be useful to know a bit about it, since this is related to Judaism, Christianity and Islam, like I put up here. They're pretty big. Also, in Islam, Adam is more than just the first human. He's also a prophet. He built the Kaaba, their holy shrine, that big cube out in Mecca, the place where they all pray to. It's thought he built it. That's pretty important stuff for some pretty important religions. It might be nice to know some of this. Now we're coming to an end. The summary of Adam's life is it was basically created from dust out in the beginning of time. He finally got a wife from God. They stuffed up, got kicked out of a nice garden, and basically they got handed humanity's problems. The meaning's supposed to be don't mess with your God. Yeah. Also, Januski, please go check him out. He actually is quite good. And comment, like, subscribe if you want to. Comment on what other videos I can do. I could even make a series out of this where maybe next I go on to Noah or Abraham or something. Comment down below. Thank you. Goodbye. This has been one of my bigger episodes. I appreciate you watching it. Thank you.